What a nice lady. When you get there, like, hey, I'm here for the inspection.
Yeah, and check the batteries.
The union wants to make sure your living conditions are acceptable.
I was thinking, she's like at the doctor, they see the house, and all of a sudden you like walk in, like a doctor's out, like the doctor's outfit, and you're like, hey. Yeah, I'm here for your visit.
She gets in, she opens the door, then takes her pants off.
Look at this over with.
Yeah, you definitely.
You're the third one today.
Are you interested in new career opportunities?
Mr. V.
Hey, how we looking at, guys? Pretty good. All set up over there? Yes, sir. We're going to right now. All right, so we're all on. I'll keep an eye out over here. All right. How's it going?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Is this recording? Make sure we get these all recorded. All right, good. We got to get Brian in. What's up, Rich, Matt, Lita? Okay. All right, good. So let's start out with Q&A. Let's go Q&A. Let's see what you guys got on the docket for today. Any questions? Anything on your mind? I don't know what you don't know. You know, I could just go into something, but let's hear what you guys got.
I just have like kind of a specific question, but last week I sold this lady and solidified, made sure it was comfortable for you and all that. But then when I was filling out the app, got to like the bank account, like driver's license, more like the personal information there.
Yes.
And she kind of like backed out saying she didn't realize it was going to be, she'd have to like pay for it this month or something like that. I don't know if she was, not the most intelligent person, like I kind of confused, but like she definitely knew what it was all about and just kind of explained why they needed the bank account information. And she said she couldn't do it. She had to wait until mid-May. She's like, wouldn't be able to swing it right now, her budget. And I was just wondering if, I'm sure you probably encountered something like that before, how you feel about that, like how you might be able to still get her on,
So Stephen sold somebody. They said they were going to buy, right? They agreed, I guess. I don't know, I don't know what your close exactly, what you said and everything, but you got to the application, and when he was filling out the application, the client backed out, right? And what was their rebuttal? They didn't know they had to pay today.
Yeah, like something like that. And I explained, they weren't actually paying today. They were just filling out the application, sent it to our home office, and like I told them they wouldn't actually, pay anything until it would have been like this Friday.
Yeah.
Like a week from then. And she was just saying like, just this month in April, wouldn't be able to swing it right now.
Okay. Yeah. Did she back out completely, or did she want you to call her back in like a couple weeks?
Yeah, she said like basically reach out to her mid-May.
So yeah, if somebody can't afford it right now this month, but they want it and they know they need it, I would stress that and just keep driving home the fact that you need this and get them to repeat that back to you in different ways. Like, remember, what was the most important thing in a program that you said, Mary, right? Was making sure that you had your funeral protected. And why did we want to make sure your funeral was protected? Why was that important to you? Because you didn't want to leave that to your kids, right? So we know it's something that you need, and we have to get that in place. And with life insurance is, you want to stress the fact that in life insurance, they always say is that when you're young, you're always going to be the healthiest, and the older that you get, what happens to your health typically goes down. And what happens to the cost of this stuff when we get older? It goes up. So they always recommend to get as much as you can when you can. When's your birthday? Okay, your birthday is not till May. What May what, right? Well, if we need to wait until April, past April, go to May, let's make sure if your birthday's on the 22nd, I'll meet with you on the 15th. Make sure you can get it locked in, because once you turn 27 or 34, it's going to go up forever. And I know it doesn't seem like a lot, $3 a month or $5 a month. But if you're 30 years old and you pay $5 extra a month, that's $60 a year. And you're going to pay on this for how many years? I don't know. Let's say you pay for it for 50 years, right? That's $600 a year times, or $600 every 10 years times 5. So there's $3,000 extra dollars. So I know sometimes you feel like, if I wait a month, it's going to save my family $100 because you say, but that if you wait the following month, it's going to cost you an extra $5 a month for the next 50 years. So it's really going to cost you the $100 that you save is really going to cost you $3,000 over the course of the coverage. So this is just something like, if you were my dad or if you were my mom, like I would just make sure that I explain this to you, and I would do all that I can to try and get you in as young as you possibly can be. But also because of the health issues, you never know. You're always one doctor visit away from becoming uninsurable, right? So I would drive home that stuff if they wanted to think. But if we need to, I run a busy schedule. But for you, Mary, I definitely would set the time aside. I know how important this is for your family to have in place. So I would set the time aside. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and schedule. Let's get you on my schedule and schedule the next appointment. So I've had to schedule the next appointment so many times, right? But if you get off that call and you don't have anything scheduled and you're like, oh, okay, well, call me back in a month. Now, the next time you talk to them, guess what you're going to have to do? Set the appointment, right? You're going to have this whole conversation about when are you available, and trying to get when you just have them right in front of you right now. Always set the next appointment. If you get into that situation, you don't want to be in it. Obviously, you want to close now. We want to get them enrolled today. It's for everybody's best interest. But if we have to set the next appointment, you don't want to leave it to, I'll call you tomorrow. I'll call you next week. Give me a call in 3 weeks and we'll set it up. You know what? Why don't we just get you on the schedule for a time? Oh, I don't know when I'm available, they're going to say. I don't even know I don't even know what my schedule is going to be like either. Let's just get you on at a time. And then when it comes closer to that, if we need to reschedule, we can just adjust the times a little bit for us. Okay. So now when you call them, you're calling them not to set an appointment, but to what? To what? Don't say confirm. To remind, right? If you have your friend or your mom, right? Hey, Mom, I'm meeting you for lunch. You don't say, hey, Mom, I was just calling to confirm lunch today. You don't call and confirm. It means that means it was still up in the air at that point, right? You're in my schedule. I'm just calling to remind you. Okay. And with the old school tactics were always like this. It was like, hey, Joe, just giving you a quick call to remind you of our time that we have set aside today between 2 and 3 o'clock for you and your family. Just wanted to let you know, you have your benefit packet here. I got it all prepared for you. Okay. And I'll make sure I go over everything for you and your family, and we'll get you guys all squared away and you'll be good to go. So look forward to seeing you guys a little bit later today. You're reminding them, not confirming. Confirming is like, are you still going to be there? Right? So you change that a little bit if you were doing that. But you always call to remind anything that you schedule, a week out, 2 weeks out. I'm not going to probably call and remind. Maybe you call and remind, but I know we got the Calendly going on. So for the next days, you just use the Calendly. And that should automatically, you can put it in there. I want them to get one at 8 o'clock in the morning. I want them to get one at noon that says, hey, have some great lunch today. And I'll see you at 5 o'clock. You know what I mean? And then I want them to get one at 4:45, telling them to be ready in 15 minutes. And I want to get them at one at 4:55, telling them to be ready in 5 minutes. I would overdo it. They'd be like, damn, this Tommy Vina be sending me emails like all the time about this appointment we got going on. Must be something special going on. I got to see what this is about. But you could customize the emails, can't you? To make them say different stuff at different times. You know what I mean? Hey, good morning. We can't wait to see you a little bit later today. Get excited for you and your family. We'll get you guys great benefit packets. Like whatever you want to put in there, I would put something in there. So maybe find a nice quote, a nice quote about, like most people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. Look forward to helping you and your family put the right plan in place. I just came up with that right now, but right? Like you could just put those on those things. That'd be cool. So confirming stuff, but back to that lady, it's either you drive it and tell her you have to do it now and you get it in, or if you do that, you might lose the sale completely, right? And you got to make a decision like, is she just bullshitting me? And then you can press harder. You could press harder because if you don't make the sale or not, you're not driving her away because it was pretty much do or die. But you make the decision like, okay, she's for real. I could see it, I believe her, which buyers are liars, but you believe her and you're like, all right, I got a good relationship with her. I'll reschedule this one for, whatever her budget frees up or whatever, right? But I would always advise her if that freeing up your budget thing comes after your birthday, we're going to do it today because it's not going to save you any money you think you're going to save. And I've been in situations like that. Like, let me think about it over the holidays. No problem, Joe. When's your birthday? December 27th. I'm like, well, we can't wait till after the holidays. It's going to cost you. And I pull up the rate book and I'll just, you don't even have to pull up the rate book. If you want to, you can pull up the rate book and show them. But I would just say it's going to cost you something. I would say some of our members cost them extra $3, $5, $10 extra a month just by waiting one extra day sometimes. So that's why I always just want to give you like, if you were my mom or my dad, like if you were my dad and you were telling me that you were going to wait, I would do the math with you and I would show you like, hey man, like this is our family. I don't want our family spending an extra $3,000 on something that we don't need to spend that on. That's money for us, not the insurance company, right? See how I say that like that? So, but that's real talk. I'm not even making anything up. Like the person who I'm saying that to is like, yeah, this dude's being straight real with me and it makes sense. Like, what can anybody even say about that? So, but yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things in the presentation where I would say trust, if she, maybe she didn't have the ultimate trust in the process. She didn't have the ultimate trust in the company, in the product, in you, I don't know if you built the rapport all the way at the beginning. So, sometimes like it can be everywhere in the presentation. So when you don't get to sell it, and especially when they back out like that, it could be a lot of different things. At the end, if they're just telling you like a straight rebuttal, that's easy to kind of identify. She backs out and gives you like almost 3 different reasons. Like she needs to think about it. Didn't have money, which you can't argue. If they don't got the money, what are you going to do? You can't squeeze water out of a rock. And I sure wouldn't want to sign somebody up that didn't have the money. And then I'm like, oh yeah, you could just, we'll get you set up. Don't worry about it. And you sign them up and then you get paid for the week because some people trying to slide some stuff through like that. And then, they can't afford it. Then they need something on the medical addendum. And they don't answer your phone calls because they never wanted it in the first place. They fall off the face of the earth and the business falls off and you get stuck, So one thing you could do though is you could trowel it, like if they want to think about it, you could say, all right, well, we could trowel it for the next month and they won't take any money out of your
I
account.
tried doing that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
It's just, she like still wasn't.
She might've been past that point maybe.
Yeah.
She had to really want it though. The thing is like, if she really wanted it, and the only issue is like, she's like, I don't got the money in my account. Like I really want it, but like, there's people that really want to buy bread at the store right now and they can't get it. Like they really want it. What are you going to do? So, but if she really, really wanted it, then I think she would have went with the trowel issue, so something went on there with, where it sounded like a good idea. And then it came down to like, oh wait, I actually got to pay money for this, so I don't know where in the presentation that she, you said she was a little bit slower too.
I mean,
Did you say that? I couldn't remember.
yeah, I mean.
Yeah. So he also says she was a little bit slower. So that is something where you got to really feel bad about that situation. Like they just don't get it. They don't understand. So what do I do? What do I do?
Say it over and over again.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So you might have to, you know, and at this point, it might have been already too late to go all the way back and start repeating it all over again, but I would try it. At this point, I would say, you know what, she's just not getting it. Where did she miss it? Like, so, you know, I would try and figure out, like, where did she really, so let's go back. Remember when we went over the differences, you know, between the work coverage and then having your own coverage, Mary, and you're asking me about that, right? Well, that's the reason why they had us out here, was because the coverage that you have through your employer, through the UFCW, through the Giant Eagle, or through the Food Mart, or wherever you work, that is just temporary coverage. And that was the main problem. They found out that people that had that, they only received the benefit 1% of the time. Only 1% of the time does the insurance from your employer ever pay out. And what happens is, a lot of our families like you're going to retire one day, and you're going to leave this order, and you're not going to have no coverage at all. And by then, it gets to be more expensive, because right now you're 47, you know, and the more you get, the older. So if you're 67, 70 years old, you retire. What's happening to a lot of our members when they retire is, first of all, they lose all of their benefits. And that was a major problem and a huge concern. And then what they did is, the members were trying to go out on their own and get benefits on your own. Could you imagine trying to get benefits at 67 or 70 years old? Do you know what happens to the cost of insurance as we get older, right? It only goes up. So a lot of our members, they wanted to get them, but they couldn't even afford the benefits because they were unaffordable for them. But also what happens to our members when they're older now, we got members that are 70 years old that are trying to get benefits, but they unfortunately have health issues, because as we get older, what typically happens to our health is it goes down. So now they want the coverage, they need the coverage, and they could even pay for it. They actually could afford it, but they still aren't able to get it because they don't have the health. So one thing we always have to remember, and I always teach my clients, Joe and Mary, is I always say, you got to remember that it's not money that buys these benefits for us. The way we buy into these is with our health. We could have all the money in the world, but if we don't have our health, they will not give you the benefits at all. Now, money pays for it and it invests for you, but so that was the big concern there, you know, Mary, was losing a lot of our members were retiring. That's why your president and all the other organizations work with us. And that's why all of the members are enrolling into these benefits today while it's available and while they can still qualify. Now, at this point, the concern is, I don't even know if you can qualify for these benefits. So while you think about it, let's make sure that you can even qualify first, right? And then I start qualifying, and I'll ask her all the questions, and I take it away, and I'm like, oh, you know, you're right at that cusp. And your birthday's when? I mean, so you enrolled, this is pretty much the best situation you could be in, Mary, right here. You know, and I'll go into try and qualify her and pull it back on that, you know, but I'll, and then she'll be like, oh, well, I don't get it or whatever. And I'm like, well, where else did I miss it? Where else did I miss it? And I'll go back into them and say, so, all right, so let's talk about this now. Remember, when you pass away, the cost of funerals today are this, right? So let's take a look. The funerals today are about what? We pull up the chart. You know, it's about 15 to 17,000, what the cost is today. But with inflation, you know how inflation works. Inflation is the cost of things rising over time. So what they did, they polled funeral directors. Funerals were a major concern for our members. One of the, if you remember, a huge problem, major concern, serious problem, major concern. I mean, how many times are we dropping that in the homes, guys? You know, so funerals and final expenses was one of the major problems and serious concern facing a lot of our members and a lot of our organizations. Members were passing away and leaving behind funeral and final expenses for their families to pick up, and a lot of them to pay out of pocket. And a lot of families, if you think, they don't typically have $15,000 set aside. And if they did, they definitely didn't have it set aside for a funeral. So what they found is that members were passing away and their families were having to come out of pocket and deplete all of their life savings in order to pay a funeral director. Or they go into debt to borrow the money because most people don't have 15,000. So they go into debt and they borrow this money, right? And what's happening is funeral directors are getting richer and richer and richer, and our families are getting poorer and poorer and poorer. So what they did is they set up all the members with their freedom of choice certificate. And Mary, if you remember how I said how this is going to be set up for you and your family, this is going to guarantee to make sure that your funeral and final expenses are never burdened to your family ever again. Now, if you remember, Mary, how this certificate works, so you said, now for your funeral, you said your son would be the one who would take care of that, right? So what your son would do is remember, they would just take this certificate right down to the funeral home, hand this over to the funeral director, and everything will be taken care of right there on the spot. They don't have to worry about anything. Now, it's going to give them the freedom of choice, that's why it says it on here, to use it at any funeral home in America. So it doesn't matter wherever, however, whenever you pass away. It could be today, it could be tomorrow, you could be 99 years old. You could be living in Alaska in an igloo. It doesn't matter, okay? However you pass, your family just takes this certificate to the funeral and is guaranteed to be taken care of forever. Now remember, on your certificate, we took a look at the current cost of a funeral being $15,000 today, but with the inflation, when we pass away, when for you, the chart was showing that it's going to be around $35,000 to $40,000 just to take care of that funeral and not leave that burden to your family. We set that up on your freedom of choice certificate for $40,000. This is going to guarantee to take care of it up to 40. So your son can walk into the funeral home. And what I would say now is we want to make sure whenever we talk to him, remember on the back, they leave it blank. So we don't want your son to walk in saying, hey, I got $40,000. What can I get? What do you think the funeral director is probably going to end up charging us and our families? They're going to charge you. If they know they got $40,000 on that thing, they're going to get you all the way up to $39,999. They'll get you the gold casket, red carpet treatment, So what we want your son to do is he's going to know there's $40,000 on there, but it's blank. So he should go in and negotiate the best price. Let's say that he's able to get a nice, great funeral for you for $30,000. Well, that's going to leave how much left on the certificate? That's right, $10,000. That $10,000, it's going to get paid actually back to him and the family tax-free to wrap up those other expenses that get left behind. Remember, Joe and Mary, this is meant to help the family with the funeral and final expenses, because today there's not just funeral costs. There's funeral and there's a lot of times there's additional final expenses that get left behind to the family that a lot of people don't think about, and sometimes it's almost unforeseen. So what this certificate's going to do, it's going to make sure that your family is guaranteed to have all of your funeral costs taken care of, but also it'll give an opportunity to have additional funds to get paid to the family. In this situation, this would give $10,000 tax-free cash to your son, and he can use that to wrap up any of those additional costs that get left behind as well. Does that make sense why they set that up for you like that? Now, I know, the concern for you was financial concern, but, Mary, for today, we will be talking about a $15 a week investment, a $20 a week investment, right? Let's talk about some things that, cost people $20 a week, right? What do you think, would most families spend $20 a week on? Pizza, coffee? I don't think you could get a cell phone, AT&T. The one member I met with, Mary, she told me, she said AT&T charges $220 a month. I couldn't believe it, right? Just for the cell phone. And what we found out after I was done talking to her, I was like, so we pay him $220 a month. How many years? 10, 20 years? I mean, you're going to do it forever, right? So 30 years go by and then you pass away. What is AT&T going to give your family? They're going to send her family, they're going to send her another bill. You believe that? Right? So we figured that for a portion of that, for just $20 a week, we could set our family up forever. And when I pass away, I pay less. And when I pass away, they give my family $15, $20, $30, $40, $50,000, right? So, so I know sometimes it feels like we can't afford it, but if you think about it right now, to set aside $20 a week may feel like it's unaffordable, right? But if you think about it, how difficult is it going to be for our family, for your son to come up with $40,000 all at one time and nobody's here to help him with it? So I know sometimes it feels like $20 a week might feel like it's unaffordable, but we can't afford not to enroll into the program today. Because I think $20 a week now is going to be a lot easier than $40,000 all at one time. And if you think about it, Mary, it's going to be pretty much one of their worst times of their life. They just lost one of their best friends. They lost their mom, you know? So let's be proactive. Most people don't plan to fail, Mary. I know that. But we find a lot of time people are failing out there. And the reason why is because they failed to plan. So today, I'd like to help you as best as I can. I know, you know, the money was an issue, but if we can, I could go through your budget with you. I used to be a financial advisor. I've helped so many families with a situation like this. We could go through your budget together right now, and I can help you find a few ways to squeak this out, because it's really not that much. And this is the only thing that you and all the members have available to them, where you can set aside the least right now, but it's guaranteed to pay your family the most when they need it the most. We can set aside the least right now when we need it the least, but it's guaranteed to pay your family the most at a critical time when they're going to need it the most. $20 a week now, we don't need that, right? So, anyways, you can go into that. And then what the heck was I going to say to her? What was I saying right before I went into that? I lost my train of thought. What was it?
You said that you were budgeting.
The budget, yes, the budget. Yep. So the budget. So then I'll say so I could help you. And like I said, setting aside 20, we could squeeze that out of any budget. I could find that in a budget for sure. I'll be honest, Mary, $20 a week. I don't even know if you could smoke cigarettes off of $20 a week. How much is a pack of cigarettes? How much is a pack of cigarettes? $10 for cigarettes these days? Are you serious? Holy cow. So that's like 2 packs of cigarettes a week, maybe 3 packs. There's a crackhead who's on the corner. He's going to figure a way to get $20 a week to smoke cigarettes, right? You guys are way more sophisticated and we're smarter and we got a lot more on the line than something like that. So I'm sure, but together we can figure a way to squeeze these $20 a week out. It's not that much. Let's be real. And they're going to be like, yeah. I mean, you know, like you can't get pizza for that anymore, right? It's an Uber ride. You ever ride in an Uber? It's an Uber ride. So I would start breaking it down to the most ridiculous shit. Like I'd be like, crackhead buy cigarettes for that. I mean, we could figure a way to get it done. You know what I mean? Like I would joke with them, right? But I had the relationship at this point, right? And they knew I'm a little bit quirky. I got some corny jokes I like to tell, you know? But then I'll go like this. I'll say, so here's something I really was able to help our families out with, okay? Do you guys like giving money to the government? No, right? I'm able to help a lot of our clients, instead of giving money to the government, put the money back into our families' pockets, right? I appreciate the government. They do a lot for us, but I don't want to give them any more than I need to give them. You agree with that? Let me show you a little secret here, okay? All right, so do you guys get a tax return? Do you get a tax return? Okay, let me tell you this, the average American family gets a tax return of over $3,000 a year. The average American family gets a tax return of over $3,000 a year. How many Americans are out there? How many households? Is there 150 million households in America? You're just guessing?
300 million people, so.
300 million?
you know, maybe.
150 households? Anybody know the answer to that? We could Google it right now real quick. How many, what do we say? What's the question? How many households are in the United States? 122 million? Does that seem right?
Makes sense.
Okay. 122 million. Now, some households have two people in it. They file separately. You get your own tax return. You get your own tax return. So there's probably more than 122 tax returns being filed here. But out of 122 million, let's times that. What do you think? We have 122 households getting, this is just, we're just doing off of Google, $3,000, right? So 122 million, how many zeros is that? 6 zeros, and we times that by what? 3,000. And the answer is, see, this, they put that, it's, okay, here we go. If you do it like this, it's 3.6 E11, right? So you turn it this way, and it ends up being 366. Well, is that billion or trillion? Billion?
That's
Billion, okay.
Because a trillion, all our problems would be fixed.
So a billion has how many zeros then?
9.
9. A billion has 9 zeros, is that correct?
12 then? 12, because you have the 300.
No, there's 9 zeros, so it's 366 billion. Okay. So let's just say this. So that means now, you guys know what I'm getting at? That the government, okay, the government gets $366 billion every year from its people, from the American people. They get that in people overpaying in their taxes. And then at the end of the year, they give it all back to you, right? So we basically give the government a $366 billion interest-free loan every year, right? I mean, I've been thinking about this for a while, and I hope somebody can give me some better, maybe I'm wrong on this, but this is the nut math I've been going over in my head for a long time. So then you take this and you times that by, what do you think they do with that money? Spend it? Well, if they invested the money, and I don't know, let's say they got what, 5%, 3%? What do you think we can get on it? Let's say 3.03%. They would make 10 billion, pretty much $11 billion. $11 billion a year in interest off of that.
That's only 3%.
That's the 3%. Do you think the government likes when you overpay in your taxes? You think they like giving back tax returns? Yeah, they love it. They love it. They love it. You just gave them a $3,000 interest-free loan. They wish it was higher, right? They love when you overpay in your taxes. They love it. Well, if you're getting this is what the average American family does. So you guys know there's money out there. If they tell you they can't afford it, if you got good rapport and you kind of do what I was talking about there, you can get down to where, like, let's talk about your budget. Let's see if we can get you in here, right? By the way, you get tax return? Oh, good. That's great. Yeah, everybody gets tax returns. What's your tax return? $4,000, $3,000. That's great. Okay. So let me tell you, well, basically what we do is I help a lot of families figure this out, and I go over the math with them. I'll do the whole thing. I'm like, look at this. $3,000 is the average, 120. They're giving them $366 billion a year to the government. They love it, right? So what we do is I show my family, I show my members how to take this money that you're giving to the government and give it back to your family, right? So this is equal to how much a month? $3,000 a year is $250 a month that they're overpaying on their taxes, right? Well, how do you stop from overpaying on your taxes? Well, what happens, guys, is every week they get paid, right? And every week, if they make $1,000, they'll get a paycheck and it'll say $1,000. And then it'll say minus what? Minus your deductions. So they're going to take out your pre-tax things, which is like life insurance or whatever they have through your company, right? So all your pre-tax deduct, then they take your taxes out. Then what do they take out after that? Your post-tax deductions, whatever you post-taxed. Then after that, what do you get? Your paycheck. So you made $1,000, but you only got paid $650 because you had all this stuff come out, right? Well, you know that you choose when you enroll at work, you choose how much money you want withheld from your paycheck to go towards taxes. So you choose your withholdings, right? All you do is you go to them and you say, hey, stop withholding so much money from my paycheck. Instead of withholding, whatever it is, $250 if it's a month, instead of, withholding, if I get paid twice a month, $125 a pay or whatever, instead of withholding that much, cut it back by $60 a pay. Cut it back by, if you get paid weekly, tell them to cut your withholdings back by $20 a week. Guess what? Instead of giving that $20 to the government, guess where you're giving it to now? Your family. And now you're going to give your family $50,000. And what did it cost you? Nothing. Go to your work, go to your HR person, pretty easy. And all you do is you just tell them, I'd like to adjust my withholdings. I'd like to change my withholdings. And instead of withholding, what do you need? We need to free up how much? $100 a month? What do you get paid? Twice a month? So tell them you want to withhold $50 less per paycheck. That's it. Sometimes you might have to figure the percentages out that they want you to figure out. You might have to figure out the exact percentage that they want it to be. But whatever it is, it's not that. So, but now instead of the money going to the government, where's it going to go now, Joe? It's going to go to your family, right? Protect your family. So I've been able to do that for families before. As a financial advisor, do you know how many things I had? Like a guy comes to me, he's like, all right, I want to retire. I want to have a boat. I want to send my kid to college. I want to buy a new house. I want to save money on taxes. I need life insurance. I don't have no life insurance. I need life. So this guy, think about this guy, what he wants. Let's go over it again, right? He wants to retire. Well, literally, if you want to retire, we're probably going to have to take all the money that you make and put it just to that. And maybe you might be able to squeak by on a modest retirement one day. But not only does he want to retire, he wants to have a boat, have a vacation house, buy his daughter her wedding, send her to college, get a new car. He wants to protect his family life insurance. I'm looking at the guy like, we need to get all this done, and you make $4,000 a month, and you're spending $3,600 of it right now. The guy makes $4,000 a month, and his expenses are $3,600, $3,800. I do the math on it. You know how many budgets I had to do? How many budgets do you guys do? You should be doing your own budget. First of all, mad homework right now, VIP homework session. If you haven't done your budget this year, you're way behind, and you got to review it at least quarterly. The first quarter is up, right? So review your budget, which is cash flow, right? Cash flow is how much is coming in, how much is coming out, right? So make sure you know all of your bills, all the money that's coming out, know what they are, know how much is coming out, right? Well, I would do this with my clients. I sit down, I say, all right, let's go through your budget. And we would write down every bill that they had for the month. And then we would put down their income. And a lot of times it was pretty darn close. People just end up living up to whatever money they make. That's what happens. Or they'll live down to whatever money they make. It's crazy. So a lot of people that I met with were literally, if they made $2,000 a month, they were spending $2,000 a month. If they made $3,500, they were spending, if they made $6,800, their bills were $7,000. The people who made more money, their bills were more than the money they were making, some of them. It was backwards. It was crazy. So, so the point is I would sit with the clients and I would budget with them, you know, and I would find out that a lot of times they didn't have any money left over, but they had all these goals to accomplish. So guess what I had to do? I had to help them find more money. I had to free up more money. So, you know, you start to get pretty creative. And I wasn't shy with suggesting them to cancel shit that they didn't need. Like, well, if you really want to retire, you know, we're probably going to have to, I don't know, do you guys need to have the house phone? Or can you all use cell phones now? Do you pay, would that save? I don't even know, would that save, even if it would save, you know, $50 a month, would that, she'd be like, you know what? I was thinking about doing that anyways. All right, you guys pay for the cable? You know, a lot of people are doing, they're cutting that cord. I actually cut the cord. I got the YouTube TV. I can watch it anywhere. It's great. Here, let me show you on my phone. Boom. All right, pay for cable. 120. I get to see you for $50 right now. I just saved you $70. You know, when you sign up, tell them I told you I get a kickback from my YouTube TV. I should start getting kickback from YouTube TV. We should all go out there, tell everybody to cancel their cable, right? And get YouTube TV. And then you'll make an extra $70 a month that you'll free up for the client right there. It pays for the premium. They want to do it anyways. They've been looking for a reason to quit smoking. You know what I'm saying? They've been looking for a reason to get in shape. They've been looking for a reason to cut the cord. They've been looking for a reason to cancel that. They've been looking for a reason to tighten their budget up. They know their budget needs tightened up. They've been looking for a reason to do it. You come in, you give them the reason to do it. Yeah, he's right. Let's tighten this up. Let's get rid of this. We need to clean this thing up. But we're not having these conversations with people. And maybe I was just so used to it because that was what I did as a financial advisor. I was just so used to it. You know, so we're not having these conversations, and that's leaving money on the table. It's leaving opportunity out there, you know. If I see someone that needs life insurance, I'm going to go to all the extents to get them the life insurance. You know, even if it means saying something for me that I don't like to say some stuff. It's uncomfortable. You like saying uncomfortable things? No, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it just as much as they don't want to hear it. But I'd rather say it and be uncomfortable than not say it. That's just, you know, I would rather do that. So I'm cool with like, you know, being like pain, going through the pain of saying stuff, and I'll be the person to change. I'll be the one who you can be mad at for a minute. I don't care. I'm going to tell you how it is. I'm going to keep it real with you, you know, and one thing for sure, you're going to know that I didn't bullshit you today. I told you exactly what was on my heart. I told you how I felt. I told you what you need to know. You know, and you might not even want to hear it. I don't even want to say it to you. Me, I'd rather be hanging out, talking about some cool shit than having to talk about this serious stuff right now. Like, this is kind of stressful for me too. You know what I'm saying? But I'm cool with going there and doing that type of stuff. You know, I'm cool with it. I'm fine. I'll go through the pain. I'll just sit there. If we got to do a workout, just run me till I can't run no more. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a discipline thing too, you know, because you got to be able to go through, do what you don't feel like doing, even when you don't feel like doing, you still got to do it. You know, and that's a lot with talking and having these conversations. Like, I don't feel like doing it, but I still do it anyways. And that just comes down to, like, you know, that's kind of like a discipline type of thing, you know. But anyways, those are just a whole bunch of closing tactics and freedom of choice stuff that, and this is this lady that we're talking about over here. I would just probably pull all that up and start going over to freedom of choice if that was, something I went over in the meeting. But the thing is, you hear how I went over all it? I already went over that with her. This is the second time I went over it. Like, I would repeat almost the same thing. You're allowed to repeat yourself. So don't be like, oh, I already went over this with her. Literally go over it and say the script the same exact way again. Repeat it twice. You ever hear of those radio commercials? Like, Bob's Warehouse, all the discounts that you can get, 1, 2, 3, 4 XYZ Street. Bob's Warehouse, all the discounts you can get, 1, 2, 3, 4 South Main Street on the corner. What? Bob's Main Street, but Bob's discount. We've got the best discounts in town. We're on 1, 2, 3 Main Street down here on South Corner. Like, stop on down for all your needs. Like, how many times do they repeat it? There's a reason for that. People need to hear things multiple times, and sometimes we want to go through a presentation and only say everything once. You know what I mean? When that's not where, sometimes we only need to say just a couple things and just say them over a few times. Like, how many times do I tell them? So what we'll do today, what they recommend to do is to make sure that you get your foot in the door today, but also keep it comfortable at the same time. So what we'll do today, we'll make sure that we get your foot in the door, but we keep it comfortable for you at the same time. And then we talk. We go back. Well, one thing we could do, Mary, I know that, it's affordability right now. If we can't afford the $42 a week, what we'll do, we'll just make sure we get your foot in the door today. We'll keep it comfortable though. And we can get you, and I know you mentioned to me, $25 a week wouldn't be an issue for you. So we'll get you in there at, we'll keep it comfortable for you at the same time. Like, I'll repeat that so many times. And I like at the end where a husband goes like, oh, I don't know if we should do this. The wife goes, honey, let's just get our foot in the door. I'm like, when they start repeating your words back to you, you're in. I like when they compare you to family members, right? He reminds me of my cousin, or you remind me of my grandson, or you remind me of my son, or, like, there you're in. Anytime they do that. That's why I would go right to the refrigerator, because every time I go into my mom's house, every time I go to my mom's house, as soon as I walk in the door, hey, what's up, Mom? How's it going? I go right over to the refrigerator and I open up the fridge just because I want to see what she got in there. If there's something cool, I'm not even hungry, but if there's something cool, I might have to just heat it up and eat it, So I think that's not just my family. I think it's a pretty universal thing. Maybe it's just a Pennsylvania thing. I don't know. But when I would go to people's homes, I'd go and knock on, how you doing? Where you sit? You sit. Okay, mind if I sit here? Okay, great. And I'm like, okay, you guys. I look around. I was like, you guys have coffee maker anywhere? Oh, you got a coffee maker? You guys make coffee today? Did you have your cup? Oh, I've been running around. So I could use definitely a cup of coffee. I was gonna stop and get us some Starbucks before I came here today. I didn't get a chance to. Actually, I'll get it. Sit down. Where do you mind if I'll make us a cup? Where do you guys keep the cup? And I said, where do you keep the cream and sugar? And then I go over to the fridge. I actually, where do you keep the cream and sugar? And I open up the fridge. Every time. No, she wouldn't. She would love me. She would not be pissed. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Not me. Not me. Not me. So yeah, every time, and people laugh, but I swear, you coming home, you see me do it, right? And then what? A lot of times the guy like kicks me out. He's like, no, you sit down. I got this. I'm like, well, I'll make it for you, whatever. And then eventually he'll just take over, and then I'll sit down, right? So anyways, that's like, oh, this guy reminds me of my son. Because I literally walked in her house and opened up the refrigerator, So, you know what I mean? But also, guys, if somebody offers you a drink, you always take it. You know that, right? If you're in a person situation. And what's cool though is like, if I went and got you a drink, right? I'm basically going like this. I got a drink, so I walk over, set it on the table. I'm like, all right, here's your drink. Now give me a presentation. It's kind of like they know you're about to give them a presentation. They know you're about to talk to them about something. Plus, they don't give you a drink of water. I'm like, all right, pound that shit and get out of my house. Right? They give you a drink. They're like, he's probably going to sit here and drink this for at least 15 minutes or a half hour. You don't have a cup of coffee with someone for 5 minutes, do you? So they make me a cup of coffee. They know I'm going to be there for at least a half hour, right? So it allows them to buckle in, sit down, and enjoy the flight, babe, right? It lets them know. And so if they bring me a drink, it's great, because they're like, hey, you know, I know you're going to be here for a while. Might as well get you a drink while you give me this presentation you're about to give me, you know? Or if I can get the coffee going, you know, there's no way they think I'm going to be in and out in 5 minutes. You know, we just spent 15 minutes making coffee together. That's and that handles the rapport at the same time. So that's the stuff we miss on the virtual, you know, unfortunately, but you know, we got to make up for it. I don't know. Any other questions? We good for today? How about if I could just touch on one thing, would just be, you know, retention, guys. This is no joke. This is no joke. If you have bad retention, you will not get a paycheck from the company. They won't pay you because they already paid you a bunch of money, and then all the business fell off and they never got paid the money that they paid you. So if it's not good up front, a bad deal, the deal's made in the home, first of all. So you know in the home if it's a good deal. And then after that, the application's got to be filled out properly because the client is trusting you to get them their life insurance. So if something's missing on the application, we can't send that to home office. You do not want to send an incomplete application to home office. Even when we send applications to home office that are completely done, they still come back with a few issues. Sometimes they'll come back and the medical records will show something that you didn't put in there, right? That's where we say buyers are liars. We got to be better at asking these questions. At the end of the day, it's still our fault. Still our fault. We should have asked the questions better. If I get into a car wreck today and they wreck into the back of me, it was my fault. I should have left earlier, you know? So if you have bad retention, man, it's your fault. It's nobody else's fault. So when you have these things that come up, so you sign someone up for a policy, right? It's not the end of the situation. You don't just send it up and you never talk to them again. Well, you could get away with that. You literally could get away with it, right? But I wouldn't count on that, and I wouldn't make that my practice to send the business up and never talk to them again. Plan on probably having to communicate with them at some point over something. So you let them know, hey, something comes up, I'll be giving you a call, you know, all that stuff. Thank you cards. Sending people the folders after you meet with them is crucial. Like if you met with them on Tuesday, Wednesday, send them that on Thursday, they get it Friday with a thank you card. This person's on point. The longer that it takes to get out to them, the less trust they're going to have in us, the less excited, and they forgot about it. So if they were going to give you referrals or something, the chances of getting the referrals go down as well. So getting them that thing the day after, like you could do it, put it in the mail the day of if you could. If you get a system in place where you send those things out immediately, the worst would be obviously is if you've met with somebody and you told them you're going to mail them something and you don't do it. That means that you said you're going to do something and then you didn't do it. That is a major character issue. And I wouldn't blame them for canceling their policy and never wanting to talk to our company again. You know, and then I don't feel bad for you for having bad retention. I'm not going to feel bad for you. And I'm not going to force your bonuses or anything. If I find out that you're not sending things to clients that you said you're going to send. I mean, it's pretty basic stuff. So thank you cards, folders, after you meet with them, especially after a sale, you got to send out the folders immediately. All the stuff got to send out immediately. That'll help huge with retention, on question.
Yeah, do you know when we're getting more freedom of choice?
That's a Jackie question or Edgar, Jackie or Edgar. I didn't even know we were missing freedom of choice certificates. So, yeah. But the issue now, guys, is issue. Okay, when the policy gets written, it has to get issued to the client. Once it gets issued to the client, now you're pretty much in the free and clear. All you got to do at that point is make sure they pay for it. right? So you can't really control that as much. But on the upfront, we can make sure the stuff gets issued. As long as with our agency, if the business gets issued, it stays. The problem is us, agents, not the clients. The problem's not the clients. The problem's the agents. Because when the client gets their policy and it gets approved, they pay for it. If you look at our statistics, they keep their policies, right? The problem is, though, is getting them the policies. And that's not the client's fault. They can't do nothing about getting their clients, their policies. That's our fault, right? So why would the policies not get issued? There's 4 things. The first reason a policy would not get issued is because it got declined. Declined. That should never happen. Should never happen. Like never. Should never get declined. Because if there's anything at all that is remotely close to becoming uninsurable or even a rated app or something, we trial it. And if you trial it and it gets declined, it don't affect nobody. It's not going to hit your reports. So the only reason you have a decline hitting your report is if you had a bad, unhealthy person and we send it through standard. If we have an unhealthy person, we have to send it through as a trial and you're safe. So you don't argue with the conservation team, the staff, the app checkers. If the app checkers look at your application and they say, hey, Shayla, we're probably gonna have to trial this one due to high medication. Thanks for catching it before, like, because you were gonna send it through standard. And they want to trial it. And instead of thanking them for catching that for you, we want to argue with them. Don't trial it. I need to get paid this week. That's bullshit. Who's saying you're going to get, don't you like me? What are you picking on me? What are you talking about? That's the app checker. I don't even know who you are. Did you ever meet our app checker? Do you think they know who you are? They don't know you. They're looking at the apps. They're unbiased. So the point is, trialing the stuff. And if it's good, it's going to come through and you're going to get paid on all the money, So that's huge. Doing good underwriting in the home, that'll help with the declines, Remember, buyers are liars. So you can't be like, so you don't really take that medication anymore, right? Yeah, it's only once a day. Like, what are you talking about, right? Get all the information as much as you can. That'll help because you're only going to cheat yourself at the end of the day. It's going to go through, you get paid on it. And then the underwriters look at this app and are like, auto decline. And then the next week comes right off and your reports go down and your net to gross is low and retention is low, and all kind of stuff. So just don't mess around with the decline stuff. You really don't want to have any declines. You're probably, and the only other way you can get majorly fooled. Okay. Majorly fooled. It can happen where you can get majorly fooled. But that means you're writing a lot of applications and like one in like a couple hundred, this guy threw one in on you. He fooled you. She fooled you, told you everything was good. And she looked and you thought it was all good. You put it through good and then they end up getting declined. Like, what the heck happened? That might happen every now and then, but very, very rarely should we ever even see anything like that. So that's a decline. The next thing that happens, if the policy doesn't get declined, now the underwriters actually start underwriting the application. So the first thing they're going to do is they're going to pull the medical records, look at the thing, do all that. While all that's going on, okay, the next thing that can happen is a withdrawal. So while the application is being underwritten, the client can withdraw that application, okay? Which basically is a cancel. The client canceled before they got it. So that's why it's not called a cancel. A cancel means that they already got the coverage, they're paying on it, and now they want to cancel that coverage. A withdrawal, like if they call me up and they're like, I want to cancel my life insurance. I have a, well, Joe, you actually don't have any life insurance right now to cancel. What you have is you have an application that's in underwriting. So What they're asking you to do is not cancel. They're asking you to withdraw my application. Just withdraw that application. Then I don't want this coverage anymore, right? That's a cancellation. It's a withdrawal. So so what would cause that? How can we help? How can we stop that, guys? Communication, solidification, buyer's remorse. Buyer's remorse is typically what you're looking at here, okay? So you have to solidify, send the thank you cards immediately. Trust me on this. Sending the thank you cards immediately is huge, right? Sending those folders immediately, cut back on that stuff. It really will. Doing great solidification will definitely help. And that's overselling. You know, if you oversell somebody, they'll typically withdraw too. If you meet with a eclectic person, a amiable person, somebody that's real friendly, they just want to buy because they want to be friends with you just to be nice. You know, this happened to me when I was younger. I went to the suit store, bought my first suit ever at Men's Warehouse, right? And the guy was a pushy salesman, man. He was a pushy salesman. And he was just like, yeah, this one will look great on you. Yeah, get this one, da, 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 da. And I really wasn't feeling it. I wasn't confident in it. And it was a lot of money. It was like an expensive one. It was like $500 for the suit or something like that. And I knew I could have got cheaper ones and whatever. So I ended up buying the suit and I took it home and I realized I didn't like it and I took it back, you know? And I took it back and I knew he made a commission on selling that to me, you know? I could just tell. So, but here was my problem is I couldn't tell him no. I couldn't tell him no. This is when I was younger. I was worried about everybody liking me. I was about friends, being friendly, you know? I wasn't mature to that level where I didn't need to like be friends and feel friends with people to make me feel good. An amiable person, that's what they are. That's what they are. Amiable people thrive on friendship, feeling good, feeling happy, feeling accepted, right? So if you meet with somebody who's just like that, then they're going to buy off you just because they want to have a friend for the day, but they're going to call and cancel on you. You know, so you got to realize if that is, you better over solidify and say, you're not just buying this because you like me, right? You're buying this because you're family. You know, you're rolling it. Remember, you know, on the summary sheets, guys, summary sheets. Joe, I have to fill out a summary sheet for you here. At the bottom of the summary sheet, it's going to ask a question. All right. I need to fill this in as well. Okay. The question says, what did you like best about the program? Let me get this in your words. Okay. What was it? Me. Everybody always says me. You can't say me though. You know, I'm not part of the program at all. What do you like about the life insurance that you bought for your family? The life insurance for your family. What do you like best about that? Right. So if they fill that out, right, now you have a copy, they have a copy, you mail that to them. If they ever do the buyer's remorse, you can call them and just say, hey, before you put this through, because if you cancel this, you're going to lose all your life insurance. And that means if you pass away tomorrow, no money will be able to be paid out to your family. So I want you to think about this. Now, if you remember, Joe, you remember why you, over here, you put what you like best. If I could remind you, you put that you like that it was great rates, a great company, and your family will be protected forever and never have to worry about funeral and final expenses. And the freedom of choice certificate's great. So you're going to lose all of that. And if you remember, that's why you got the program in the first place. So if you don't have that, then when they go to cancel, you're going to be sitting there trying to argue with them and just pull stuff out of the air. Right? If you have that information, that's why you got to do it all. This ain't a joke. Like sometimes people just think it's, oh, yeah, I'm going to get the leads, call them, sell them, haha, make all the money, win the money in March Madness. Like there's also like legalities to this business. We all had to get our life insurance license to be in here. So after the sale, we have to document. You should have documents of all your sales. Like you should have a file folder for all your clients. Every client should be in like I would be organized with my files. I had everything organized for every single client, every single what comes next form, every single summary sheet. We had leads that were made out of paper back in the day. So my lead was in there with it, and I'd staple them all together, and they were in their files. And if the client ever needed anything, if they ever called me, if they ever wanted to cancel, I pulled up their file and I had all their notes. Johnny was their son, plays football. Sally was a cheerleader. The mom was the coach. This is the family that took me around on the tractor. Like I had it all written there because I met thousands of families. You can't remember none of that stuff. So, I had to have good notes written on that. But that's somebody that plans to be here for a while. If you plan to be here for a while, you start doing stuff the right way all the time because it's going to build. Like, someone that's going to be here for a while gets Google reviews. They're like, dude, I'm going to be here for a while. I better start getting these Google reviews because 2 years from now, this shit's going to add up. Right. But I think people should do that with their health. You plan on being here for a while, right? Probably start doing some things to make sure we're healthy. 2 years are going to go by. It's going to add up. It's all going to add up. It's going to add up, like to get in shape. It's just, if you work out every single day, how can you not get in shape? It's going to add up. I know it's going to add up. What they say is like, if the most barbaric, most basic concept of like, people always want to lose weight. And there's all these crap out there about losing weight. And all I think about for me and what I've learned, and even I think Joe Rogan was even saying this, he's like, here's the concept is if you burn more calories than you take in, what do you think is going to happen? Eventually, you're going to dwindle down to nothing, right? So the key is, if people are not in shape where they want to be, they're probably taking in more calories and not burning as many calories, and that's what's happening. But if you burn the calories and you don't take in that many calories, that's how you're going to get to the shape you want to get to, get in whatever area you want to get to with that. So I can't think of a more basic way to think about that, right? So what they're saying is work out more and eat less. Find somebody that works out a lot and they don't eat a lot. They're probably going to be in pretty good shape. You don't need all the food that we eat right now, just so you guys know. You think you need it, but you don't. I could go on a whole tangent right now, and I'm trying to get Gio on it. I'm trying to. This is his first week doing it, but I'm telling him we're gonna fast. So from 8 o'clock at night until noon, we're not eating, right? And then when we do eat, we're gonna feed our body with protein and fat, and we're not gonna feed it with a lot of carbs and sugar. A little bit of carbs, natural sugars like an apple or some grapes. That's kind of sugars, but not sugar and creamer and dairy. Dairy's all kind of sugars in dairy. Too much sugar in there. Bread's sugar. It's all sugar, So if we keep giving our body sugar and carbs, then it's going to keep burning carbs and sugar, and guess what? The fat's going to stay in my body, right? But if I can not give it carbs and I don't give my body sugar, then it's gonna say, all right, I need to burn some fuel because I need to get some energy. But there's no fuel in the fuel tank. The carb tank is empty. What do? Well, let me switch over to the sugar tank. We'll start burning sugar. There's no sugar. What do? You know what? Let's start burning all the fat and the protein. We'll use the protein and then we'll burn the fat, and that'll be the fuel. So if you don't give your body the carbs and you don't give it the sugar, it's not going to have it to burn. But it has to do something to get energy, right? So what's it going to start burning? It's going to start burning fat, and it's going to use that as fuel. But your body's not used to that right now because it's been trained for the last how many years to burn what? Sugar and carbs, right? So that's why you eat the sugar and carbs and then you crash. That's what happens. So if you train your body, so I'm trying to train Gio's body right now. We're going to see if he can get through this. Okay, it's not the easiest thing, but it's not that hard either. he was like, oh man, my stomach was burning in the morning yesterday. You know, I was like, that was a good burn. That's a good burn. You ever work out? It's like, oh man, I worked out and I was sore, dude. I'm not working out anymore. What kind of sense does that make? That's like I fasted and there was a burn, so I'm done fasting. No, when you were sore after you worked out, that was a good sore. If I work out and I'm not a little bit sore, I'm concerned if I even worked out, right? So the burn, it's not a bad burn. With normal people, everybody on planet Earth, they get, oh, I'm hungry. Oh, this burns. This is no bueno. This is not good. Most people think it's bad. When my stomach burns when I don't eat in the morning, I'm like, this is good. This is a good burn. So the reason I was losing the battle, because mentally I thought it was bad, when I realized that it was good, and now when I get a burn, I get excited. I'm like, yes, I'm fasting. My digestive system is cleaning itself out. I'm not filling it with junk from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep. Most people are filling their intestines, digestive system, with food from the time they wake up to the time they go to sleep. Literally, as soon as they wake up, they got to eat. Right before they go to bed, they got to pound some pound cake. And now, not only is your body working, your digestive system working 24 hours a day, but it's also working overtime because you're putting garbage in it, and it has to like really try and figure out, like, is there any nutrients in this at all, or I got to kind of keep it all out. And it's trying to keep the nutrients, pull the nutrients in and keep the bad stuff out. That's what's going on in your body right now. But it's not making it very easy for it. But when you put all organic stuff in, clean food, and you're not putting tons of it in, your digestive system loves you. And guess where all your energy comes from? Right here. All the energy comes from right here. Your digestive system's working overtime and it's sucking all the energy out of your body. So if you ask people to fast, they got more energy than people to drink 20 cups of coffee a day. I don't drink coffee anymore. Gave up the coffee, just fast. I'm good. Do I look like I'm tired? I worked out this morning too, and I shouldn't have because I didn't eat anything, and I don't like to work out and not eat. So I usually, since when I fast, just so you know, I usually work out at the end of the fast because then afterwards I can eat. You know what I'm saying? And it works perfectly. So the best time for me to work out is usually right around noon, 1 o'clock. You know, I'd like to try and get a workout in for me personally if I could. Or then if I break the fast around 12 or 1, you know, yesterday I didn't break it till like 1:30. Then I'll let the food digest, and then I'll get a little late afternoon workout in like a 4 o'clock workout, you know, and then I can get my dinner. And then sometimes I'll be like, you know what? It's almost 8 o'clock, bro. If you don't eat something now, you're going to have to wait until tomorrow. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to hurry up and eat something real quick. And right before 8 o'clock or 8 o'clock comes around, and if you could eat at 8:30, you know, you could eat at 9, but instead, if you go 8 to noon is the fast. 8 to noon is the fast, right? Well, if I eat at 9, I just won't eat till 1. If I eat at 10, I just won't eat till 2.
Like 14, 16 hours?
You go 8 on, 16 off. Or what is it? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's 8 on, 16 off. You only eat for 8 hours a day. But during those 8 hours, you can eat as much as you want. I would recommend it to be a lot of clean stuff, you know, as much as clean. And then limit the carbs and sugar on those 8 hours. And if you carb, do the carbs in the morning. Like, so when I break the fast, I try and break it with a little bit of carbs and fat and protein. So like an avocado, bacon is fat and protein. You know, I can't eat eggs, but if you could eat eggs, I'd eat the eggs. That's the great protein. You know what I mean? And that would get your day going. Me and him, we had salmon salads yesterday, something like that. Felt great. Felt light. Felt good. So, you know, anyways, this is just the breakthroughs I've been experiencing over the last 2 or 3 years, and I'm always trying to find better ways, you know, to do the health type of thing, you know. But what do they say? Is it better to be healthy or wealthy? You know, what would you rather have, health or wealth? And I said, I want both. I want both. You know, I don't want to pick or choose here. And the worst will be for all of us to work super hard And then, 10 years come by and you got all this residual income coming in and, you can go on vacations, but you can't go on vacations because you're sick though, or something like that, So that's why we got to still, work on both at the same time. So I don't even know how I got on that tangent, but let's wrap up for today, guys. Great job. I guess Friday it'll be Casey. Friday we'll have Casey on, Casey Kunash. Yep. And I think that's all we got for this week. There's no other crazy workshops or anything we got going on. So we need a good week. Last week was a slow week, so we got to get back in the groove here. If you don't have your appointment set, make some lunchtime phone calls. You could get some more set for tonight. And just make sure you're getting 3 sit downs a day, 4 days a week. You never have to worry about nothing, literally. And if you're getting 3 sit downs a day, 4 days a week, and you're not meeting your goals and making sales and stuff, just sit down with us because we'll get that fixed real quick. Because we're something off. We're not saying the right stuff, But all right, let's get out of here, guys. Thanks. Look at Phil. Where are you at, man? You look like you're in the movie. What is that movie with the? What movie does he look like he's in? Harry Potter. That's it. Yes, because my son loves Harry Potter. What did they call the castle in Harry Potter? Hogwarts. Hogwarts. That's it.
You want to see my real background?
We went there in what's it called? Universal Studios.
That's what it really looks like back here.
Now he's in a basement.
Yeah. I set up a man cave.
That's great.
Later.
That's great.